I think that the women that inspired me from an early age would have to be my mother and the very strong women in the family.
I think probably my mum, once again, has been my biggest inspiration. Mum managed to bring up 3 children on her own. When I was only 10, my dad left.
I guess the first person who inspired me was my grandmother. She came from Tasmania, from rural Tasmania, and she didn't have many opportunities in life because they lived on a farm. And so she encouraged me to do all sorts of things along the way, and every challenge I had, she supported.
I think most women would look towards their immediate family and their peers. My mother is an unbelievably inspirational female, at retirement age and still working and raising a family and donating her time to charitable causes.
My grandmother is my biggest inspiration, I guess, because she was not only a strong but a very loving woman. The fact that she worked so hard for her entire life, and she loved doing that, and that actually helped so many people, so that for me is an inspiration.
My great aunts were terrific inspirations. My great auntie Lizzie had the village sweet shop, and so she was an incredibly pivotal part of the community, of the village. The sweetie shop was where everyone actually went to buy everything. It wasn't just sweeties, there were vegetables, there were groceries. And her sister, my Auntie Nora, helped her there. And they were the warmest people you could imagine. They were like little birds. They were great listeners to the village stories. They always gave a warm welcome to everyone who came into the shop. And they loved me. They totally loved me. And I knew they loved me. And they always gave me the impression I could achieve anything.
Personally, for me, my biggest inspiration would be my mum. And she was a woman. She was quite a strong personality, but still very family orientated. But I think she instilled in me the importance of a very good education, and also to think a little bit for yourself and to just follow your dreams.
A woman that stands out very much is my English teacher from Year 12, Miss Gregory. She dedicated her whole life to supporting women to have a good education.
Growing up, I had one of my school teachers, my maths teacher, who was terribly fearsome, but she suggested that women do jobs that men could do, such as air traffic controlling, for example. She thought that was a good career for a woman.
I grew up in what you would call the bush in Australia. It's a country village in Scotland on the west coast, and we had to leave home when we were 15 to go on to high school. We didn't have one locally. So you either went to high school or you stayed in the village for the rest of your life. So most of us went to high school. I was the first one to get there, and I was miserable. I was so homesick. I just wanted to go home. Now, my landlady was a very matter-of-fact Highland woman who spoke Gaelic, actually, and she would have none of it. Absolutely none of this. Silly girl crying in the corner, homesick, for goodness sake. So she had a job in the caravan park, and she said, well, you can just come with me and help me. And we washed dishes and we dried dishes, and I got home and I was so tired that I didn't think to cry. I went to bed. So I learned from her how to tackle my life, to recognise what was wrong and what to do about it, which is work or do something for somebody else.
Professionally, obviously there's the Governor-General and the Prime Minister being females now. They were, finally able to breach that glass ceiling.
I'd say Julia Gillard as well, because, she's in our area of Altona. I've lived here most of my life, and just shows you again that a woman can strive to, get into one of those positions.
Julia Gillard, and definitely Quentin Brass.
Of course, we've had female mayors and we've had female councillors who have been great role models for us to look to.
I'm not interested in politics, so politicians don't interest me. So the people I thought of was Ida Buttrose, I like what her approach to life and her approach to work and charity. I think she did really well as a young woman. You know, she tackled a man's world really, getting into publishing and what she did with women's magazines and so on.
Personally, probably my daughter is very inspiring at the moment, and that she gives so much back to the community, as well as, you know, is trying to forge her own career at the same time, and is just not prepared to just accept traditional, you know, concepts of what women should or shouldn't do. She just is making her own way and forging her own way in life, so that's very inspiring.
I've always looked for people to inspire me who are calm and who know where they want to go and what they're doing.
I think that you can find inspirational qualities amongst a lot of women. I'm in particular, I'm very focused on women that are entrepreneurial, that can run their own businesses, that can play with the big boys and really make a result. It's absolutely determination from a lot of these women, I believe.
Integrity, passion and ambition, and also how they deal with everyday life.
The overriding qualities of all of them is that they're great listeners, so that they have time for people's stories and they embrace the difference in all of us.
It's definitely different for women than men insofar as that it is important for women to have and demonstrate passion and that kind of integrity about what they do. They need to have a real drive as well to succeed and to go places and to, you know, breach those traditional barriers and go forward.
They all had a passion for what they did, and they would try to do as much as they could in their chosen field, and they also took others along with them.
An inspirational woman doesn't stand alone. An inspirational woman works with a team, a good team.
I feel that the greatest of our inspiring women around us, our greatest leaders, are those who take other people with them. It's not just a personal journey, but they want to make a difference. That to me is a great leader.
Well, I think these women, I think they have persistence and resilience.
Well, I put them down to the 3 C's, personally. I think courage, compassion and clarity.
For me, I think strength and character is really important. Just being authentic as well.
What makes an inspirational woman is a curiosity, to be able to not necessarily rise above things, but to be curious and to have a mind that you can fix it, that you can do something about it, that you don't have to accept whatever it is that is not necessarily acceptable.
I haven't had a female mentor personally, not at a mentoring capacity. I wish I did though. And I think that if I did have a female mentor, you know, one-on-one, that things would probably be a little bit different for me. And that's why I feel that young women absolutely should have more female mentors around them.
I have had one person at work who did mentor me right from the very start, really. In the laboratory, she took me under her wing, and I think she saw some potential in me, and she taught me the whole way along. And as I moved through the seniority ranks, I eventually took her job, and I still talk to her even 11 years after she retired. So she had a big impact on my life.
I certainly know that Jill has mentored me a lot over the years, and I know I've been always able to ask her a question of how she felt I should handle a certain situation. And I think that's what you need sometimes, is someone you can ask that question of.
I think that it's very important for people to be realistic about the world of work, and that they can also have an understanding from a more mature or experienced person as to the pitfalls they may have faced.
There's such a choice, there's so many things that young people can do, then it must be confusing. I know it's terrible to say when I was young. Well, it was easy. It was really easy. You were either a secretary, a nurse, or a teacher. So, or domestic. We used to call them domestic. That's terrible, isn't it?
I have never been mentored formally, but certainly informally, and probably the person didn't even know they were mentoring me as such. But I took tremendous wisdom from people in my life, a variety of people. So most certainly I have been informally mentored. And I think it's a really important part of our lives. I think it's almost like a duty we have.
Yeah, sometimes women don't necessarily go for positions because they don't have 100% of the qualifications, and sometimes we do need that little bit of a push or reassurance in our skill set that we can develop into that ideal candidate.
It's still difficult sometimes in the workplace. There is some, you do have problems, and I've had problems along the way with men, essentially, doing things that they probably wouldn't do to other men. I think it's really important that people stand up for their rights, particularly women, because if other women don't stand up for them, there is no hope, really. We all have to work together.
I think that especially young women, they don't realize how important it is to position themselves in life, and that they can and they will have situations that they will struggle, or some in games of power, that sort of thing, and some man's gonna try to say, no wait, this is not quite your place, this is my spot.
Not every young person has those opportunities. Some are quite, disadvantaged.
I think that, we all doubt ourselves so much throughout our lives. And to know that somebody is just there for you and believes in you and is willing to give you a bit of time and encouragement.
More women that are more experienced or older than them should be putting their hand up and going, yes, let me help you mentor. Let me be your mentor and be passionate about it.
In mental health, there's a service now where people with a mental health issue can actually have a mentor, and that can help them with their recovery journey and help them, where they do suffer self-esteem problems and confidence issues. So a mentor can help a lot with some of those things.
I think if they can find another female that's in that sort of leadership role, I think it'd be a really good thing for them to nurture them and just, help them along their way. Just open up your world of thinking as well.
Number one hope is for women to feel safe. There's still too many sexual abuse cases going on in the home, out on the street. I just think it's abominable in this day and age.
First of all, I'd like to see them safe. I'd really like to see that the women of Hobsons Bay could walk out their front door at any time and not give a thought to, will I go or will I not? Is it dark or is it not? Is the train safe? Is the bus safe? Is the street safe? It holds you back. It can hold you back.
Equality, full stop.
My hope for women in Hobsons Bay and beyond is for women to continue getting educated, really well educated, to hold great positions of power.
I hope once again that young people will be taking every opportunity with regard to education.
I just hope that they can feel a sense of community and networking and really make the most of the assets that Hobsons Bay has and contribute, as much as they can to the community.
Hobsons Bay is already a bit of a leader compared to some of the councils that I've seen. We've got a fairly strong female representation. And I just hope that we sort of continue in that area, and just get more women to speak out and voice their opinion, and if they see things that need to be changed, that we give them the avenues that they can do that.
I'd like to see women really step out and support each other. I still feel that women often lack a sense of their own inherent courage. And I think that together we can actually overcome that, and we can achieve great things if we do have these opportunities to band together. You know, like our Women's Advisory Committee. You can just kind of sense that palpable strength, and to put that out into the community, you know, it can achieve anything.
I think that we need to celebrate women more. Women are not recognised enough. We really need to, as a community, as a nation, you know, we need to really start celebrating what women can achieve, and whether that be at a community level, in their families, in their houses. I mean, we're amazing creatures. We are absolutely amazing creatures. We can do phenomenal things. And I think that sometimes women don't celebrate other women enough. And what we need to do is we need to gather around as a group, as a unit, and really celebrate each other's achievements and lead by example and show people how fantastic women are.